Every year, tens of thousands of Jews travel to a small city in Ukraine called Uman, despite any obstacle, even the most recent conflict with Russia. What is driving them? Well, they go to Uman to celebrate the Jewish New Year at the gravesite of their spiritual leader, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. Together, we'll explore the origin of this tradition and take a glimpse at the logistics that make this pilgrimage possible. This gathering, called the kibbutz, or more commonly as just Uman Rosh Hashanah, is essentially all male. Since the streets of Uman become so incredibly filled with people, it's virtually impossible to keep a traditional distance between the genders. Besides the prayer services and visiting the tomb of Rabbi Nachman, there is also a practice of tashlich, a prayer said by a body of water on Rosh Hashanah, creating quite a spectacle at the lake in the center of town. After sundown on the second day, various Jewish musicians take the stage to continue the feeling of Rosh Hashanah after the holiday has come to a close. You might recognize the visual of a Breslover Chassid wearing the crocheted yarmulke with the Hebrew inscription, Nanach Nachma Nachman Meuman. That phrase has its own legendary origin, which perhaps is the subject of a separate video, and has come to mean something like, let us go to Rabbi Nachman from Uman. Born into the family of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement itself, Rabbi Nachman championed the idea of having a personal connection with God through music and dancing. As he is famously quoted, "It is a great mitzvah to be constantly joyous." He is also known for his legendary folk stories, through which one can learn about Torah and Kabbalah, inspiring Jews from his devout Hasidim to secular writers like Franz Kafka. Towards the end of his life, Rabbi Nachman settled in the town of Uman in today's Ukraine for his last Rosh Hashanah in 1810. A few days before his passing, he informed his students of the significance of making the pilgrimage to come see the rabbi on the Jewish New Year. This tradition began with the pilgrimage to Jerusalem to offer sacrifices in the Holy Temple, but has morphed in the diaspora to visit one's teacher. His disciple, Reb Nosson, explained that this emphasis meant that the rabbi wanted people to visit him even after his death, and some took this to mean that one should try to visit the grave of Reb Nachman no matter the circumstance. From the first year after the rabbi's death in 1811 until the Russian Revolution a century later, the pilgrimage remained small but consistent. Once communism took a hold, open religious services were banned, and the borders were sealed, preventing foreign citizens from attending the gravesite of their teacher. It wasn't until the end of the Cold War in 1989 when the international pilgrimage would resume and continue to grow into the multitude that arrives today. As of 2023, the population of Uman is just north of 80,000. While in 2019, the mass of pilgrims reached an estimated total of 70,000. This pilgrimage to Uman doubles the population of the city overnight. which creates a complex logistical situation. This massive wave of people creates an incredibly high demand on the infrastructure of the city, like electrical and sewage systems, creating some contentious moments between the Jewish pilgrimage and the Ukrainian locals. With no sign of stopping, the locals in Uman have begun to adapt to this festival that rolls into town each fall, allowing new hotels and proactively dealing with the sanitation and infrastructure logistics that comes with hosting the ever-growing thousands. To deal with their fair share of logistics, the Jewish organizers open up kosher industrial kitchens, which prepare several 100,000 meals for the pilgrims. There's also a temporary clinic that is opened by the United Hatzalah, equipped with over $50,000 worth of emergency medical supplies. The sheer amount of people that arrive in Ukraine each year has become so large that the organizers of this festival have made arrangements with local fire marshals to ensure everyone's safety in the temporary structures and kitchens. In further signs that Ukraine is adapting, in 2020, President Zelensky reportedly proposed that Rosh Hashanah become an official state holiday, although this hasn't become official just yet. This was done during the pandemic when, ironically enough, Ukraine sealed its borders to discourage large social gatherings. Despite this, hundreds of Jews still managed to fulfill their rabbi's last wish, as well as in 2022, when the Ukrainian government blocked direct flights to Kiev during the war with Russia that raged mere miles from Uman.
I was a little bit hard to cross the border, but I come to the border from Ukraine. I crossed 1, 2, 3.
The desire of people to flock to the gravesite of Rabbi Nachman has prompted Ukrainian officials to accommodate the 25,000 people who still showed up during the war, although with some restrictions like curfew. Of course, the pilgrimage to Uman is a very extreme example of how Rosh Hashanah has grown into a much bigger holiday than its humble biblical origins, but it helps capture the cultural magnetism that the Jewish New Year has created in many circles. Although the core group who arrive in Uman are Breslov Hasidim, there are many Jews who arrive from other levels of religious observance and denominations, yet feel welcome and connected as a part of one Jewish nation. This reflects the overall sentiment of Rosh Hashanah, where Jews from all walks of life come together to celebrate the new year. Whether you're traveling to Ukraine this season or spending it at home, we here wish you a happy and sweet New Year.